Welcome to the Locals Only Lounge. I'm your host, Andrew Dyer, joined again by guest Eric Wilke. Eric,
Hey Andrew, how you doing?
great. And of course, our producer, John Cross. John, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm actually watching the closing minutes of the possible Monterey Bay upset of San Jose, so I'm a little distracted at the
Okay,
moment.
be distracted. Just tell us when it's over because I know it's almost over. So let us know. Um, I want to start this pod by speaking to our podcast
Over.
audience. Oh, did they win?
Yep. Our
Monterey
first
Bay?
first big cup set.
Siaha, the one that got away.
That's right.
I'm so glad he's found success up there though. Like that dude was awesome. I'm so glad for him.
Yeah. Yeah, that is great for him.
Um. Anyway, I was gonna say if you are subscribed to the Bum TV podcast feed and you're listening to this pod, but you have not listened to the other pod, I would listen to the uh the
Loyal
locals
Locals podcast.
loyal locals. Thank you. I was struggling. The loyal locals podcast, which should be the next in your feed. Listen to that first. You're going to get all of the details of our upcoming bus trip, our watch parties, and then this Saturday's home match, which thankfully will not be in the sun. It will be an evening game, but all of that information is in the other pod. So have a listen to that. This, of course, is the Locals Only Lounge where we are we're letting it all hang out. We're cutting loose. John is not going to rein me in. We can just ramble about the roof slopes of New England to my heart's content. Uh, but that is not what we're going to do. We are going to talk about, we're going to talk about soccer, football, but we're going to talk a little bit about the little reality team that could. Um, Either one of y'all, John, Eric, do you want to clue us in to what happened this week? Now, I will say that this is a spoiler for Welcome to Wrexham season 2. So if you do not want to know what happens in real life, and want to wait to find out in several months with season 2 of Welcome to Wrexham, you can do that. Spoiler warning, it's in. All right, Eric, John, one of you, tell me what happened.
I can do it, but Eric, I'll hand it over to you if you would like to go.
Well, sure. So Wrexham was successful in their bid to move up from non-league football into League Two and clinched this weekend. I didn't get to see it live, but I did see the highlights because I was not willing to show out £10 to watch it live. But it just goes to show the amount of passion that these fans have and their excitement on being able to be promoted up to League Two. I saw a really cool video from a former Premier League keeper that they were able to bring in because they have,
Yeah, Ben Foster.
movie star money, so they can pretty much. I mean, there is a feeling that maybe they bought their way into the league, but you know what? All the teams do that, right? If you have the money, you spend it. That's what it kind of comes down to in those lower leagues. But anyway, the video was just amazing. Just watching all the fans and everyone and the players, just the amount of excitement and emotion when the final whistle blew and they knew that they had secured promotion. It's just really kind of what makes this game so special, right? And that's something that we definitely lack here, which really sucks, in my opinion. But
well, especially at the lower league level. And yes, and Wrexham has certainly captivated American audiences, I would say in particular. And no doubt to the two owners that they have play a huge part in that. But I think that's part of maybe the appeal or the hook for maybe the non-soccer fans. Probably the soccer fans are more interested in seeing if the team gets promoted or not. Are they successful actually on the soccer field? But talking about its reach, as one of the things we talked about a little bit in the pre-show, is, my mother-in-law is interested in the outcome of this. And she's always asking me, how did they do this weekend? She doesn't really want to watch, but she wants to know how they did. Were they successful? Did they make it? So when she found out they did, I showed her the highlights, and it's like a little kid watching, just the smile and the excitement and the happiness because of this connection she has now to a club in a very loose way, but in someone who's never really followed sport much, and certainly not soccer. All her soccer understanding is from passing through the room while I'm watching soccer on television, right, and then asking some questions. But also, as an American, somebody who likes big events will sit and watch the Super Bowl. We'll watch big things, even though won't watch any of the other games. But this is one of those sporting stories that has reached her, right? And we talk about the reach, and I think that was a little bit, Andrew, what you said before is like, what does this mean then for soccer in general in the U.S., the reach of soccer, lower league soccer in the U.S.? Like, what is the long-term impact, if anything, will this be?
I think one thing that it does is it brings the notion of pro rel to people who don't follow soccer, right? So promotion, relegation, a European phenomenon, especially England, where this is the way of life. This is the way of things. I mean, Wales, is Wales part of England? It's Great Britain. I'm just gonna call it Great Britain because it's definitely great. It's definitely the UK. It's definitely Great Britain. So
Right.
we'll just be safe because I don't want to
I
offend
think
any of
you're
my
safe with UK.
offend
you're good.
any of my geography heads out there. Shout out.
You're safe with either.
latitude and longitude, folks. Let's do this. What it does is it brings the concept. It brings it home for people in a way that maybe abstractly, like we talk about this concept, it really doesn't, especially if you don't follow, European football. But like this national league they were playing in is like, a step up from like a neighborhood league. This was not a big league. It's deceptive because of the number of people in the stands. Right now, if you go to Texas, you go to a high school football game. There are high school football stadiums with 15, 20,000 seats in the state of Texas. Right now, that doesn't mean it's a professional sporting event, but that's the nearest comparison I can think about is a team, a club like Wrexham, filling their stands the way that they do. But when you watch those celebrations, you watch the excitement of these people, you kind of realize like, well, if this system exists that can promote league winners to the next tier, then the pathway exists for a team to make it to the Premier League and eventually compete with your Man Cities and your Liverpools and your Tottenhams and your Chelseas. Like that is not impossible. I mean, it's unlikely, I think, like even with
Right.
rich movie star owners. But guess what? If you have a large fan base in the United States, a country where people like to consume and buy a bunch of like dumb shit they don't need, like, hey, you never know, like the revenue's coming. People are paying $10, £10, whatever that is, to stream a game, and people are doing that. People are paying it. People are invested. And it's only going to, the word of mouth is only going to spread. The show, the reality show, only has one season so far. This is a very famous movie star with Ryan Reynolds at the helm of it. I mean, Rob McElhenney is obviously very famous as well, but I mean, he ain't Deadpool, right? So the potential is there for something kind of unique to happen if everything, the stars align. It might take a decade or more, but as the club has success, it's going to have the revenues. As it has the revenues, it can buy the players. They had to buy players that were above the level of National League to get out of the National League, right? So they get to League Two. They're going to have to buy players that are above League Two quality to get out of League Two. They're going to have to finish at the top, and so on. That's how it's going to go. And one thing that helps you do that is being incredibly popular in the United States in a way that other clubs can't even sniff. I mean, it's there, and as they grow in popularity, you're gonna have more and more people in the United States being like, why can't we have this here? Why does San Jose get to stay in MLS? Why can't these incredible USL teams like San Diego win their way into a higher division? And it's going to put that pressure on U.S. soccer to justify their horrible, corrupt system.
Erica, I have some thoughts to go
corrupt.
on that. So allegedly,
I mean, it's not alleged. I mean, there's been investigations and FBI and all that. So I mean, corrupt.
Eric, do you have any thoughts? Because I have some I'll follow up on.
Well, I remember, I think it was before the start of last season that the USL president, Edwards, had stated that USL was looking into implementing promotion and relegation within USL, with USL League One and League Two and the Championship, and also moving to a European-based schedule. We have yet to see that, but it is something I would definitely welcome.
It's easy to talk about, but I think it's in practice. It's ambitious of them to do it, and I support it. I would love it, but yeah, it's tough.
Right, you have to have the infrastructure for it. Right, you have to have the stadia that can support that kind of move. You have to have the owners buy-in, and it is a risk that they have to be willing to take, right, to have that threat of relegation. Because as great as promotion is, relegation is, just as bad, right? Because you lose your revenue, you lose your standing, and it's harder to get back up to where you were. So it's definitely a double-edged sword, promotion and relegation, but it does make it that much more exciting, and it makes all the games matter, right? And it's so against the typical American sports, area that we've grown up with, where teams tank to get draft picks, So, I mean, for one, that's why I like watching European soccer, because that element is there and it's exciting. Like Everton might get relegated this season, A huge club like Everton might not be in the Premier League next year. It's like drama it's fun to watch. I mean, not if you're a fan of the team, obviously, but for the neutral,
it's very funny how many Americans are like Everton supporters. I don't know how it happens, but it's very funny that it does.
Howard and Landon Donovan played there. There's like an American connection. Same with like Fulham is pretty popular. And then I personally I watched Tottenham a little bit before, but when Clint Dempsey went there, I was very excited that I had an American player to root for on that team. So I think that's where the connection comes from, most likely.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this whole Wrexham story and how this idea of promotion relegation is I mean, frankly, it's being talked about more than I've ever seen. I mean, we talked about the Golazo Network last week, but that was one of their topics. I hear it on Football Americas almost weekly, right? They're talking about it, but it's in the conversation a lot more, and obviously some heated discussions, but with USL exploring these ideas, and they have been saying for about 3 years pretty consistently that they are looking into it, and they're doing some serious looking into how to do it. I think they want to do it. This is my gut feeling. I don't have any sources here, but I think it's all right. Like we have brought up, how does it work in a practical sense to do it? Because it is one thing to have it, and I agree, and with pretty much everything both of you have said, it makes the games more meaningful. It's this idea that you can keep moving up the ladder to whatever the pinnacle is, that the possibility is there, which it's not. And also, I was listening to a podcast, I don't know which one it was recently here in the last couple of days, but I think it was Tab Ramos talking about, or someone that, wherever it was, but that I heard, was talking about the fights that you have all the time, even on the lower end. The games are meaningful. You can't have someone. It was Tab Ramos. He was talking about his time at Houston. New ownership group came in, and they were already looking ahead to next season. They were just kind of playing out that season and looking ahead to next season. So everybody there's just kind of, with minimal resources, just raiding the rest of the season out. That doesn't happen. Well, I guess it could happen. It rarely happens in promotion relegation because, you got to make a decision. You're either going down or you're fighting to stay up. And it makes those games more interesting. I mean, Eric, for you last year with Everton, how many of the games did you watch going all the way down to the end of the season and were maybe on edge as you were watching those games, almost like you were if it was a title race?
Oh, well, I watched them as a neutral because, like I said, I'm actually a Spurs fan, but just even like I'm not Tom Blick or anything like that. I'm not an Everton fan, so I can't, although kind of looking like him a little bit. But no, even though I'm not an Everton supporter, I did watch those games because the threat was very real that they were going to get relegated and might even this season as well. And to see them react like they won the league when they staved off relegation, I mean, that's just, it's fun to watch. It really is. But you just don't have that with American sports, It's not the same. It's like, yes, we won the first round draft pick.
You know what? I'm also a Spurs fan, but the real Spurs, the San Antonio Spurs, and we have secured an even chance at even with the bottom four teams at the number one pick. So Victor Wembanyama, we are here. We're ready for this. Getting a top 5 pick. Yeah, guess what? It's not as exciting. I mean, it's great if we get him right. It'll be cool. I'll be happy. But you're right. It's totally a different thing. John, you mentioned the Galazzo Network. I finally caught some Galazzo Network, and wow. I hope it gets better.
What did you watch?
It was like they have like a 4-hour morning show.
Yeah, morning footy.
Oh my gosh! And they had like some who's the guy in DC that was on United? Rooney. Was it Rooney? Is he in DC United?
He's the coach now.
Okay, so they had him on, right? And like they were not asking him about like the tactics of DC United or like the landscape of MLS. They were like, who's on your Mount Rushmore of Manchester United players? And like that's the question you ask the coach of DC United
I mean, to be fair, it's a morning show, right? It's like any of our morning shows. It's just around soccer.
Who's on Wayne Rooney's Mount Rushmore of Man U players? Who fucking cares? I was just like, why is this on? And like people are like, okay, sometimes, not often, because we're all very serious fan media professionals, but sometimes, there will be like a moment of silence and we all kind of look at each other like, whose turn is to talk? Like that shit's happening like on the air on the Galazzo Network. Like they're like, oh, we're gonna watch the highlights of this, and then like nothing happens, and then the host goes, or maybe not, and then they just, it's like, oh man, this is like a college media experiment. It's not a polished product. It's only been a couple weeks. Maybe I'm being too critical because that's like who I am. I am a critical person who will find fault in everything. But I was very amused. And I was watching it with some friends that were part of like the wedding group who were not soccer people, and they were like, what the hell what are we watching? What is this? I was like, oh, it's new. They're like, yeah, wow, I can tell.
Well, I only watched it the first week because that's when I was on spring break. And I have to say, I enjoyed it. I would agree, though, it's rough. And they need to, I'm sure they'll find their feet as they go. And I'm sure they're trying a bunch of things out to figure out what's working and what's not working.
We should tune in at 2 a.m. and see what they're doing. What are they doing at 2 in the morning on the Galazzo Network? Because it's a 24-hour network.
I think they're probably just doing replays of games. I feel like right now it's morning footy, and then they have an afternoon show box to box, and then
maybe they'll give me a show. Give me your 2 a.m. spot, Galazzo Network. I'm ready. Look at me. I got the background. I got the microphone. I'm ready. I'm ready to come in at 2 a.m. and talk USL and have awkward pauses and flub my clips and everything, just like your daytime hosts do. I'm ready. Put me in, coach. Let's do this. I'm sorry. I'm applying for another job while we're on the pod. My bad.
So we were talking about Wrexham, and then kind of not just pro rel, but raising the level of soccer. And we had talked in pre-show a little bit about talking about some international soccer. I mean, we have Wrexham coming this summer to play to play Manchester United in name. I mean, they're basically a youth team. But you've got a game that's, I don't know if it has sold out, but probably going to sell out Snapdragon.
Yo, that thing is like crazy. It's crazy. Of course it's sold out. Of course it's sold out.
But
Maybe it's not sold out. Maybe it's all secondary market tickets. I don't know, but those tickets they were already tripled in price by the time they officially released to the public.
yeah, Eric, were you going to say something?
No, just that I saw that the pre-sale for the Gold Cup actually came out a couple days ago, and even those tickets are insanely priced. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
I missed that. I guess I'm not going to the Gold Cup.
That's where I wanted to kind of go to afterwards. So Snapdragon is going to host a semifinal of the Gold Cup, and what is Snapdragon going to become an international summer soccer destination here? Is it going to be a big soccer stadium moving forward?
it appears
Well,
so.
Are we just in a sweet spot right now?
No,
where
we're seeing it
getting some
right
games?
now. Even though, I mean, despite not having shade, or some kind of awning or any shade, or looking like a soccer stadium or being a soccer stadium, it is being treated as a soccer stadium by, by CONCACAF and by Wrexham and Man U and obviously the San Diego Wave. So yeah, I think it's people know that the soccer market's here. The San Diego market is consistently among the tops for things like World Cup matches, U.S. soccer. I don't know the numbers for Liga MX, but clearly Liga MX being a bigger league in the States than MLS, I would assume that San Diego is similarly a good TV market for the Mexican Pro League. So I think more and more the powers that be, in world soccer realize that as they're playing in places like St. Louis and Kansas City and LA, that San Diego is a place to play. And the fact that we got that Wrexham Man U match and it's not up at SoFi, right? They're not playing that match in SoFi. They're playing it here, which is good for us. And yeah, the way I see it, with the World Cup coming in 3 years, the Gold Cup this summer, with the forever rumors of MLS, which I think the latest is that it's going to be announced this summer or something. Assuming MLS does come to San Diego, especially locally, we already know because we see it when we go to games. You go to the Wave, you go to Loyal. There's no doubt. You go to Bluefoot, you go to Fair Play, you go to these places that are showing games. It's a soccer town, and people here are going to be excited for soccer, and that is without dispute. So if it's got to be Snapdragon, I guess it's got to be Snapdragon. I'd like to see some shade. I'd like to see some awnings put on that building, some buttresses, and some kind of things above the roof to provide shade and at least look like a soccer stadium. But yeah, it's that seems to be the venue. It seems to be the spot.
Can I give my cynical view?
Please do.
I'm sure you'd appreciate that. The cynic in me says that we're getting pumped up with a lot of soccer and international soccer as a lead in to MLS. That's the cynic in me.
You know what?
This is not the like Snapdragon's going to be the big soccer, I feel, again, the cynic in me says or maybe I put on my tinfoil hat kind of thing, right? That strings are being pulled to get things here to generate buzz ahead of an MLS, some kind of announcement. I know nothing along those lines, but just hearing like we're getting a Gold Cup match. We got this, like you said, Man U and Wrexham. Even still with everything, they could probably sell out a significantly larger stadium. Why did we get that? That's what I keep asking. Why do we get that? So that's the cynic in me. I could be totally off base and wrong, but that's especially when we hear maybe a summer announcement kind of thing, that's I'm wondering, who's pulling strings where to try to generate buzz ahead of something else.
Yeah.
I heard there was also possibly a Mexico-Iceland game happening at Snapdragon as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Rumors.
Interesting.
So I think,
and great, if we get more international soccer and other things, I'm thrilled that we get that. But again, like I said, the cynic in me says there's strings being pulled to kind of generate some big buzz right now.
Yeah,
but I hope
I'm actually
wrong.
looking up Gold Cup prices right now. Let's see where we're at. You can get $55 tickets in section 236. Where's 236?
So have either of you guys attended a match up Snapdragon? Because I haven't attended anything at Snapdragon yet, so I don't know what any of the seating arrangements are really like in terms of your experience.
Yeah, that is back corner at the top.
Yeah, I've heard it's nice. I heard parking is $40, which is.
I thought it was 30.
I'm not sure because, like I said, I have not been. But the last I saw, someone had said it was $40 to park. But I heard that once you're actually inside the stadium, it is a nice venue to watch a match. But that parking price is a bit steep. Maybe take the trolley in.
Right, and it's going to get not worse in the sense, I mean, maybe the prices go up, but eventually, as we go through a decade or so of building out and stuff, they're not going to have the parking that they have at the moment. Like that's not going to exist forever.
Right.
So I'm sure the encouragement is to use mass transit, which I'm all for. But then, you need to have easy access from other places to the mass transit to get to the stadium.
So do either of y'all know about this Gold Cup thing? Like, is there a chance that the U.S. team is playing in the semifinal, or is it? I don't even know how the tournament is arranged. Would it be Mexico? I know they want a U.S.-Mexico final, so they'll probably be on different sides of the bracket, right?
If they both win their group, they'll be on different sides of the bracket. But they have already announced that they will make the announcement of who's in or which semifinals and where they're going to be played are after the group matches. So
Jason
clearly,
is saying it will be the U.S.
It will likely be the U.S. if we're on opposite sides of the group, because they're going to send Mexico to Las Vegas to fill up that stadium, right? Because they will fill up that stadium. But if we meet in the semifinals, then we're probably still Mexico and the U.S. over playing in Las Vegas, and then San Diego will host the other semifinal. But they're going to wait and see how the group stage plays out before they announce which path is going to be where for the semis.
I really doubt they have Mexico and the United States playing a semi, though.
Right.
They could, depending how they finish in the groups. Now, if they each win their group, then they'll be on opposite ends of the bracket.
You don't think that CONCACAF, being the white glove organization that it is, won't put their thumb on the scale to make sure they get the final they want?
I mean, it's all arranged, so you can see, depending on who finishes where, what the pathway will be. So if they both finish first or both finish second, either one of those, they'll be on opposite sides. But if one finishes first and the other finishes second, then they're going to be on the same side. But that's, the same thing with Canada, right? Is the same kind of thing. So we would meet up, I think, and I think that would make for, if we all finish first, I think it's Canada that we meet up with. Hopefully Someone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're in Group A and Canada's Group D, and I think that's the two sides that we would kind of meet up together if we both made it through, as expected. But we'd meet up in the semifinals. I think that'll be a tough match. Canada's got a pretty good team, which is good. I'm glad we have other strong teams in CONCACAF. It'll only make all of us better in the long run.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I don't know. These tickets are expensive. I don't know. How bad?
I was telling you.
How bad you want to go to one game, especially not knowing who it's going to be.
I think I'll be saving it up for the World Cup.
Is it really just the one game that's going to be played here?
At Snapdragon, yeah.
Oh wow. Well, yeah, all the prelims are like in lesser cities, which is every other city. Okay. Well, yeah, it'll still be. I don't know. Like Jason in the chat is saying, before Snapdragon, Qualcomm was a destination for international games, a U.S. team. So it might not be as bad as just they're trying to grease us up for the good old MLS San Diego FC announcement. Oh, can you imagine? FC San Diego. Maybe they'll mix it up and put the FC in front, huh? Woo. Fun.
They'll do like Miami and string a whole bunch of stuff. We'll get Inter, we'll get FC, we'll get Atletico. Right.
Oh yeah, San Diego Athletic. Can't wait.
Atletico San Diego FC.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it just keeps getting better the more we do it. But yeah, I think that whatever happens with MLS, the World Cup in 2026 is really, you can just kind of see like the pieces be put into place, right, to kind of get this market ready for that World Cup. The reality shows, that's all fine, but like the other stuff that's happening, I think is really the main course. Getting over the next few years, I think we're going to see more and more kind of soccer content be pushed to our various streaming services, because everything is content. So I would think more or better produced reality shows like the one that HBO does with the NFL, the preseason show that they do, Hard Knocks, which is I think done in coordination with NFL Films, which is really good. I think
they kind of have that already with Amazon, right? The All or Nothing series.
So All or Nothing is not. It is like the clubs seem to have too much influence over All or Nothing. Like editorial control. You don't get the bad. You don't get the ugly. You just get kind of. It seems very. I don't know, by omission. I don't feel like you're getting the full story as some of the more like editorially independent kind of like documentary teams that have filmed teams like that. The All or Nothing is very, I don't know, I question how much independence those the people that make that show have.
Oh, okay. To be fair, I have not watched any of the Hard Knocks documentaries, so I don't have anything to compare it to. So I'll take your word for it.
Compared to All or Nothing, I mean, so like even like when I'm like I don't watch NFL football, but I will watch Hard Knocks because it's very compelling. Like they find the storylines, it's well produced, the camera, the shots that you get, it's a very good like reality sports show. Whereas All or Nothing, I think I watched the Man City season, and I watched. I think that's the only one that I watched. And yeah, it's. I think I watched some of the. There was one about Sunderland, that I watched and I didn't finish. Then oh gosh, I think there's another one too.
Leeds one? There's a Leeds one as well.
I did not watch I watched part of it, but I didn't watch the whole thing. This was before, our American heroes all signed with Leeds, so I should probably revisit it. But I don't think they're doing so well this season.
Not so well.
It's not Tyler Adams' fault. I will just say that dude plays his ass off.
Well, yeah, that's why they're struggling. He's hurt.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to make Weston play his role, and that's not what Weston does. He's not a 6.
Mm-hmm.
So putting him in a double pivot just is not his skill set. Even though at Schalke, he used to play all over the place. But I think he's better suited as an 8. But I digress.
Yeah, why is that though? That's actually interesting.
Why is what?
Why the 8 over the 6 for Weston?
Weston's just a box-to-box player. He's good at arriving in the box at the right time on a cross. I mean, you look at his goals that he scored in Champions League for Juventus. It's off a corner kick or a free kick. Gets his head on the ball. He just knows how to be in the right place in the right time. Defensive acumen is not as strong as Tyler's for sure. He's more of a little spark plug, kind of make a good tackle here and there, or make a dirty tackle and piss them off, right? And then his passing isn't the best, but he's more of an energy player, in my opinion. I mean, I could be totally off base, but that's just how I see it. But I do like Tyler Adams a lot. He's definitely a linchpin for the men's national team at this point, I think. We don't have anyone who plays, but who does what he does, for sure. When he's out, we definitely know it.
He's my MVP for the U.S. team for sure.
I'm a big McKinney fan, but he's kind of hot or cold. He either plays really well or not so well. But he's definitely not suited to be a 6.
All right, John, do we have any other pressing lounge business to hit?
No other pressing lounge business. I just will make a quick comment to get your guys' thoughts of our potential, since we're talking about soccer and the stadium, of our summers coming up. We got Copa America next summer, right? And we got the World Cup coming in 26, and possibly the Women's World Cup coming here in 27 with the U.S.-Mexico joint bid that they're doing. And then in 28, we have the Summer Olympics. So if they do it like they did the Summer Olympics back in 84 when LA hosted them, which I think was a huge push for soccer, especially in Southern California, because there were some fantastic games and different venues. But it's likely that San Diego would host quite a few venues, because they might now, with the other stadia they have in LA, have enough that they can do locally. But I could see us getting either some group stage matches or something in men's or women's or both for the Summer Olympics in 28. So I think we have a lot of good.
Is that an LA Summer Olympics?
Yes.
In 28, they'll be in LA. Yeah. I think it's Paris in 24.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a big Olympics head. It's too much, man. Like, I'm so confused. I don't know what time it is. It's on the other side of the world. They're running the race at night, and then in the States you're watching it at 7 p.m. but you already know who wins. It kills it for me. But so having it in the same time zone will be beneficial, because I'm much more likely to care when I don't know the result.
When they had the 84 Olympics, they did a few things in San Diego. I know they did some equestrian stuff in Rancho Santa Fe, and dressage, and
bringing it to the people,
right? Yeah,
the dressage horses in Rancho Santa Fe, really reaching out to the community there. Awesome. But yeah, it would be cool. It would be. I mean, anything's possible, and especially if there's this other soccer stadium development in the rendering. I don't even think there's a rendering yet. Like, that's how fresh this thing is. The Chula Vista Bayfront MLS stadium.
Oh, right.
I don't know if this is just something somebody wadded up and put inside of a bong and took a big rip and decided that this is something to talk about, or if this is a real or this is a real thing. I know, you know, our friend and brother over the Chavos, Adrian, works for the port, and you know, he told me a while back, like the stadium thing is real. Like this is something they're really trying to do. So maybe it's not just another San Diego special where they, you know, produce a pretty rendering and never build anything, but the notion that another stadium could be built, this one on the Chula Vista Bayfront, an MLS specific stadium to challenge Snapdragon as the soccer home for San Diego. I mean, gosh, I think that is a, if you're talking about hypotheticals for soccer in San Diego, that is the better, you know, proposition to have that other stadium, or an actual soccer specific stadium with some shade and maybe some character. Be nice, not just surrounded by asphalt.
Yeah, that would it would be nice. I would have very mixed feelings. You know, the soccer part of me would absolutely love to see a soccer specific stadium here in our county somewhere that could actually, you know, host some top level teams, you know, our own club teams here from San Diego. But the Escondidan in me thinks, ugh, Chula Vista. God, that is
It's
a
nice, man.
drive
You
now.
just move down here, bro. It's great. It's great. Look at this. You can put your scarves up just like me,
Yeah.
bro. It's great. It's you.
But
I
that's
think if they build the stadium, you're just going to have to move. I think
yeah,
that's the.
that's gonna have to be the solution.
I even me, man. I'm trying to move to the west side of Chula Vista. Like I want to move over there. So yeah, we're all gonna have to move to be closer to soccer if it happens. But I gotta, of course, put the, you know, pee in the weedies a little bit, because there's a lot of things that get talked about and a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of possible things to build and drawings and stuff. But until, that's why even now when I look at Snapdragon, I'm like, I can't believe they built that fucking thing. I can't believe it got built. I can't believe it got built in under 5 years. It's wild.
Yeah.
It is for us to actually, us being San Diego, to actually get something done. Wasn't happy with the way it was done. That's a whole different story. But it got built, and there's something there, and it is quite impressive that something actually got built.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The
I
rendering,
have to hand it to them on that end.
we see
They
so
did get
many
it done.
renderings, and to see an actual building, it's every time I drive by it, I'm like, man, I can't believe that's not just a drawing. That's actually there. Oh, all right.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good place to peel off. Eric, where can people find you?
In the Discord at Eric Wilke, or on Twitter at Eric D. Wilke.
And John, where can folks find you?
Also on Discord at John Cross, and that's pretty much it for the social media that I do.
Oh, you got to come on to Twitter and watch it burn down with us. We're all having a
Well,
grand old time.
I do have Twitter for my soccer shorts, but no personal stuff.
It's been a wild place the last week. Ever since they nuked all the actual blue check people, and it's only like crazy like Elon fanboys and crypto dorks and like scammers with verified check. It's such a weird place to be in. Like, to read a thread now, it's so weird because like the check mark, it moves all of them to the top of the replies. So like you'll look at a tweet and then like you read the replies and it's all these fucking weirdos. It's all these like people with like 20 followers. It's so weird, making the worst jokes, posting like the stalest, oldest memes, or saying the most obvious jokes, like, oh, that's what she said. And then like, it's like, wow, what the fuck is going on? Who are these people? And then you scroll down and then you get to like the real like people who aren't verified. It's just such a weird place. Yeah, but it's actually, it's been very some of the funniest things I've ever seen have been also in the last week. uh, Allegedly Elon Musk has a fake, he has a sock puppet Twitter account that people think they've unmasked. Oh, it's just such a weird. it's a weird place. I spend too much time there. And you can join me. I'm there at Andrew P. Dyer. Watch it burn down with me. Also on the Discord and in 109 all the time. You can find me there. Come say hi. And if I ever turn around and yell at people to watch the capo or to get loud and we make eye contact, remember it is not you. It's not personal. I'm not telling you. It is a general. Everybody, let's get loud. I made eye contact with somebody Sunday, and I feel bad because I feel like they think I was yelling at them, and like I don't know who it is. I can't remember, but I remember like somebody like looked at me, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm like yelling, but I'm not yelling at you." But I can't like do that in the middle of like this section, right? So anyway, okay, yes. So this has been the Locals Only Lounge. Thanks so much. We'll see everybody here next week.